It was a bright Saturday morning when my wife and I finally pulled into the driveway of our new home. We had been saving for years to buy this quiet little property on the edge of town. It wasn't fancy, but it was ours, and after years of renting, we couldn't wait to finally settle down. The house sat just outside the boundaries of an HOA community, which was a big reason we'd chosen it. We'd heard too many horror stories about power-hungry HOA boards who thought they ran entire neighborhoods. My wife and I both agreed we wanted peace, not constant battles over what color our mailbox should be. As the moving truck rumbled up, my wife Sarah hopped out of the passenger seat, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She's the type who always likes to stay busy. So before I could even stretch my legs, she was already pulling open the back of the truck and lifting one of the boxes. Labeled kitchen. That's when it started. From the corner of my eye, I noticed a woman marching. Across the street, she looked to be in her mid-50s, wearing oversized sunglasses, a wide-brimmed hat, and carrying a clipboard as if she were inspecting a crime scene. She walked straight toward us with a confidence that screamed authority. "Excuse me?" She barked, her voice sharp enough to cut through the sound of the truck's engine. "Can't just move in here without approval." Sarah froze mid-step, the box still in her hands. I looked at the woman confused. "I'm sorry, Can I help you?" The woman planted herself at the edge of our driveway. "I'm Karen, president of the Homeowners Association. And you're trespassing?" I blinked. "This property isn't part of your HOA." Karen narrowed her eyes. "That's what you think. But everything on this street falls under our authority. Can't just move boxes in without first filing the proper paperwork. And where's your moving permit?" I almost laughed. "A moving permit? We don't need a permit to move into our own house." Sarah set the box down on the porch, brushing her hands together. "Ma'am, with respect, this isn't your concern. This property isn't under your HOA. We checked before we bought it." As Karen's jaw tightened. "That's what people say, but we've been managing this area for years, and I don't appreciate strangers trying to skirt the rules." She raised her chin. "If you refuse to cooperate, I'll have no choice but to involve law enforcement." At first, I thought she was bluffing. Surely no one would waste the police's time over something this ridiculous. But sure enough, Karen pulled out her phone and dialed 911 right there in our driveway. Sarah and I exchanged a look. "She can't be serious," Sarah muttered under her breath. Karen's voice was loud enough for the entire block to hear. "Hello. Yes, I'd like to report some suspicious people trespassing and breaking into a home on Maple Lane. They're hauling boxes out of a truck clearly moving stolen goods. Please send someone immediately." I felt my blood pressure rise. "To you. Just told them we're burglars?" I asked, incredulous. Karen snapped her phone shut with a smug smile. "Don't worry. The sheriff's department will sort this out. And when they see you don't belong here, you'll be escorted right back out." Sarah crossed her arms, her patience wearing thin. "This is harassment." Karen smirked. "No, this is me doing my job as HOA president." We decided to keep unloading while we waited, refusing to let Karen's antics ruin our day. But every step we took, she was right there, scribbling on her clipboard, muttering under her breath about violations and rules. At one point, she actually shouted that box is too heavy for one person. "It's a safety violation. I'll be writing you up." Sarah shot me a look that said everything. Is this woman for real? About 15 minutes later, we heard the low rumble of an approaching vehicle. County Sheriff's SUV pulled onto the street and parked right in front of our house. Karen's smug smile widened as she marched toward the car like she had personally summoned justice itself. "This way, officer," she called. "The criminals are right here." Sheriff stepped out of the SUV, tall and broad-shouldered, his mirrored sunglasses hiding his eyes. He adjusted his belt, scanned the scene, and then his gaze landed on Sarah, who was carrying another box up the steps. And then it happened. The sheriff froze. His posture stiffened. Slowly, he removed his sunglasses, revealing eyes that widened with recognition. He stepped forward, and to my utter shock, snapped to attention and gave Sarah a crisp salute. "Good morning, Commander," he said respectfully. The entire street seemed to go silent. Even the birds stopped chirping. Karen's mouth dropped. "Open, Sea Commander." "She's tammered." setting the box down before returning the salute. "At ease, Sheriff. We're just moving in." I looked between them, stunned. My wife had always been humble about her job, but in that moment, everything clicked. She wasn't just working in law enforcement like I thought. She was the commander of the sheriff's department, his superior. The sheriff turned slowly to face Karen. His expression hardened. "Ma'am, did you call in a false report claiming this family was committing burglary?" Karen's face went pale. I didn't know. "She didn't tell me who she was. It's not how the law works," the sheriff said firmly. "You accused them of a crime you had no evidence of. It's filing a false police report." Karen sputtered, "But I'm the HOA president. I was just enforcing the rules." The sheriff took a step closer. "This property isn't under your HOA jurisdiction. I know exactly where the boundary lines are. You had no authority here. Harassing homeowners and wasting emergency resources is not only inappropriate, it's illegal." Karen's bravado completely crumbled. Her shoulders hunched, and her voice turned into a nervous squeak. I was just trying to protect the neighborhood." Sarah stepped forward, her tone calm but commanding. "Ma'am, the best way to protect your neighborhood is to respect the people who live here. We're not your enemies. We're your new neighbors." Karen swallowed hard, her eyes darting between Sarah and the sheriff. For the first time all morning, she was silent. The sheriff cleared his throat. "I suggest you head home, ma'am, before I decide to write you up for misuse of county resources." Karen muttered something unintelligible and slunk away, her clipboard clutched tightly to her chest. The sight of her retreating across the street was almost comical. Once she was gone, the sheriff turned back to Sarah with a grin. "Good to see you again, Commander. Didn't expect to run into you on moving day." Sarah chuckled. "Neither did I. Thanks for handling that." He nodded. "Anytime. Welcome to the neighborhood." With that, he tipped his hat and returned to his SUV, leaving us in peace. As soon as the sheriff's vehicle disappeared down the street, I turned to Sarah, still stunned. "Commander, you never told me you outranked the sheriff." She gave me a playful smile. "You never asked." I laughed, shaking my head. "No wonder you kept calm the whole time. You knew she was digging her own grave." Sarah shrugged. "People like Karen thrive on control. The best way to handle them is to let their actions speak for themselves." Over the next few days, the neighborhood buzzed with whispers about what had happened. Once the loudest voice on the street kept a surprisingly low profile. Word spread quickly that the new couple across from her wasn't to be messed with, especially since the wife happened to be the sheriff's boss. From then on, life was peaceful. We finished moving in, planted a garden, and started enjoying evenings. On the porch, without interruption, Karen would still glare at us from across the street. She never said another word. Looking back, I realized how close we came to a very different kind of first impression. If not for Sarah's position, Karen's false accusations could have escalated into something serious. But in the end, justice prevailed, and the truth silenced her antics. Sometimes, life has a funny way of revealing people's true colors. And in this case, it only took a single salute to turn the self-proclaimed queen of the HOA into the quietest neighbor on the block. And honestly, that silence has been the sweetest housewarming gift of all. This story is just the beginning. There is so much more ahead. Subscribe to the channel to join me on this journey.